that's just an example of one event that the committee is working on.
That's great. Yeah, that's really nice.
It's a fun one. It really is.
Yeah. And to coordinate with just full resources makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Is the incident of, I mean, I'm a cyclist, recreational cyclist, is the incident of bicycle, you know, it feels like it's, I mean, just looking at the media, it feels like it's happening more and more, you know, bicycle accidents. Is that a statistic that we track, or interaction with bicycles on our
Absolutely. And we absolutely do track that.
I mean, there's more of them out there, so it wouldn't surprise me.
That's a great segue.
Okay, let's go.
So if you look at this particular chart, thank you for doing that.
It was not prescriptive.
So one of the things that we are doing is we are data mining, and we're beginning to collect a lot of detailed information and analyzing that information. I'm sorry you can't really see it, but this is actually came, if you're interested, we can provide this in more detail to you. But what you'll see is that this is for a 6-month period, and you'll note that in this, 7 months since December of last year, and we have not had a collision with a pedestrian since that time. There have been some incidences with bicyclists, fortunately nothing serious. But as we do see more and more cyclists on the road, it's just, I think, we will likely see incidents to continue. It's just the nature of the frequency and greater exposure of cyclists on the road. So we are beginning to look at this. What I also want to highlight is really the one also to the right, which is the line 14. So we are looking at individual lines and beginning to pinpoint what the particular issues are. The line 14 has a distinction of having one of the highest averages. It's 3 times higher than the average. But when you really stop to think and really examine line 14, you begin to understand why. It's a very, very narrow corridor. It's heavily congested, so the exposure is very great. And when you look at the numbers, what we see here really are striking fixed objects and parked autos. That's really the principal one. Now, what do we do with this information? Well, we take the information and then we begin to analyze it and say, okay, where are the opportunities for improvement? Can we partner with the city in making some of those improvements? But equally important, we also provide this information to the driver workforce. How can they use the information to avoid some of these obstacles? So we do couple this with our training staff, or with our training effort, and we look for opportunities for improvement. Some of them are more difficult than others.
So with that information, it seems like there's a community-based opportunity as well to engage not only our operators, ourselves, and our transportation partners, but the community in that neighborhood to embrace, sort of this little culture. Everyone wins.
So what we're doing is, we are sharing this information with our safety committees, so we're engaging them with our safety advisory committee, education committee. We're hoping to share it with them as well, so that we can leverage all of the pieces that we possibly can. Another program that we have underway is that Hotspot Reviews, and these are areas that have been identified as problematic. Again, going back to the previous slide, we'll pinpoint particular areas or pinpoint particular intersections. We look at some of the behavioral concerns on the part of the operators as well that we report to the transportation managers. If necessary, we'll intervene, and there'll be some training or counseling session. We'll look at whether or not we have to stop bus stops, or, as we heard earlier, restriping of lanes. provide some additional signage, anything that will help provide more information to our operators to do a better job. Again, we have to do this with our jurisdictional partners. Sometimes that's a challenge, but we keep pushing nevertheless. And then we also communicate these hotspots to the operators. We now have installed these, what we call flat screens in the report area, and we actually put those hotspots up there and tips for how to improve their driving and how to avoid having a mishap. One of the large investments that we've made has been in our safety committees. What we're doing is that we're beginning to invest in making them problem solvers. These committees have received the data just as you saw previously. They get hotspot reports. They make curbside observations. They receive feedback reports from the community, customers, and we also provide them with an analysis. And what we're trying to do here is really get them to suggest corrective actions and to set priorities. Safety staff does sit on every committee. We do have union representation on the committees as well. And what we're trying to do is really advance and resolve safety concerns. So what they ultimately become are really ambassadors to the rest of the workforce. And they do interface with the workforce, and we take every opportunity, such as during sign-ups. And we have a sign-up coming up, and they'll be there to help receive information and provide feedback. What I've done for you is really gave you some very there are very broad highlights of the safety effort. But then the next question is, where do we go from here? Well, first of all, we need to fully develop and implement the safety management system. And that's going to be a continuous process. In fact, it probably will never stop, because we'll always seek opportunity for improvement. The second thing that we'll do is we are going to be conducting a safety climate study. And we're doing this in conjunction with Washington State University. Professor Probst there has expertise in gauging safety climate in different organizations, and she will be helping us do the same here, and we'll help develop programs around that as it will become part of our safety management system. We're also making a large investment with our supervisor workforce and providing them with safety training, and that effort is currently underway. We hope to launch that by the end of this year, perhaps it may fall into the first of next year or so. And then we have made an investment with the safety committees. We will continue to build upon that. We've provided them with problem-solving skills and meeting facilitation skills. The next step is to provide them with hazard identification and mitigation skills, so that'll be fun. And then lastly, you saw some of the safety metrics. We are continuing to build those dashboards so that when we begin to monitor our program and evaluate it, we actually have a formal mechanism for doing that. We will be establishing benchmarks. It's not just the lagging indicators of mishaps, but also those leading indicators of what are we doing proactively to move the safety program.
What do we do? I mean, of course, we're all about. I feel like the board interfaces with the public, and in some ways is in that between management and the organization and the public. And of course, we're always interested in the external messages to give to our public, saying, "Gosh, you take and say." I mean, what I would love to say, what I would love to be able to say at this point is that we listened, we understood the problem, we implemented a program, and now we get results. And to try to we're keeping track of these metrics. They look like they're working in our favor in terms of reducing the number of incidents. How can we communicate that effectively to the general public and ask for even more help? Like I think Steve's, after saying let's create a whole culture of safety, it's not just TriMet's responsibility. But I don't know. That's another one of those things where, gosh, good stuff. we've got to get this message out. We're investing. We're going to continue to invest. That kind of stuff. How do we do that?
I think when we find an opportunity, we will do that, whether it's through public forums such as the BC Be Safe things.
Yeah, maybe in that forum we can say we've actually seen an improvement in our safety metrics as a piece of communication, one piece of communication we can.
I also think that there are some opportunities. There are a lot of opportunities to reinforce this. And again, I think as I shared originally, I think what I feel good about, and hopefully the board does as well, is when we decide to focus on a problem and put the energy and attention to it, we can get results. And I think in this case we've got results. And so I think that, to me, which I think is just the same thing, Board President, you were saying, that there are a lot of places where we can reiterate a whole series of public engagements and Trimet, and I think there's a great message to sort of be upfront in all of those. Those revolve around the budget. We have a number of advisory committees and other things along the way. So a lot of other forums, such as the events that Pam was talking about, and other sort of important milestones along the way. So I think there are a lot of opportunities. There may be some special ones that we can begin to think about, and like the BC Be Safe, which combine the proactive message as well as the sort of the notion, we're doing everything we can to do our part, and now we also I think those are.
I think everyone takes appreciation and really also pride in what you're doing, and I think the aspect of approaching this in a proactive way is essential. To the extent that Portland or any community is acknowledged for something, I think we could set a priority around things that we'd like to be acknowledged for, and food carts isn't necessarily a priority in my mind, but it's a descriptor. It's a good descriptor. Accessibility, equity, jobs, safety, and food carts. To the extent that we could create this expand this partnership which you've launched, and proactivity among all communities, all interests, then it isn't just Trimet's responsibility. It isn't just Trimet's culture. It's a community culture. It's providing for places where people can congregate in safety, shop in safety, work in safety, commute in safety, play in safety. I remember the neighborhood I grew up in. We didn't lock our doors, our windows until someone threw 2 beer cans or broke our windows. It had to change your whole culture. Why did it happen? Because somebody did something stupid. How did you feel afterwards? Not very safe. Just things happen. So we've had something horrible happen, and we've created a culture of acknowledgement. So I'd just like all of us to encourage the community to be part of this as you are. One of the ways to do that is to continue to communicate broadly, not just in terms of we can help. That's part of our job.
We'll look at that and see where those opportunities are.
We're appreciative and proud of you, and the incredible person.
Well, the opportunity to